And good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to today's masterclass. As you can see, the topics of today's masterclass is, one second, uh, 3 steps to saying no without feeling bad about it. So, welcome, and my name is Tanya Dotson-Winckler. I am the founder of 180 Degree Time Management. I am also the administrator of this group that we're in, Productivity Breakthrough. Accomplish your goals in record time. So, I'm sorry about the confusion earlier. I hope that you guys who have registered to be here today will join us. And whether you are here live or you are watching the replay later, please leave your comments and questions in the comment section because they're welcome. And I can also interact with them later on, and we can have conversations that go on way past the airing of this broadcast. So let's dive right in, shall we? So look, according to a Gallup poll and according to our own group's poll, the last poll that we did, a larger majority of business owners and entrepreneurs report that saying no is the habit that costs them the most time and it gives you the most stress. And here's why. There's a knock-on effect to not saying no. And that's what we're going to talk about, what the knock-on effect is first, and then we're going to talk about the 3 steps that you need to implement in order to be able to say a powerful no. So the first thing that happens when you are not able to say no, when you know that no is the right answer, when you know that you don't have the time right now to be dealing with someone else's issues, when you don't have the time to be dealing with a client's complaint, when you don't have the time to be dealing with a distributor's order or whatever is going on that you don't have the time to deal with right now, and you say no to you, and you say yes to someone else, the very first knock-on effect of that, excuse me, is that you don't stick to your own schedule, right? Now, let's talk about that for a minute. What does that cost you not sticking to your own schedule? Because again, that's another one of the items on our poll in our group that when we were talking about what are the habits that cost you the most time and that give you the most stress, that's another one of them. So not saying no leads to you not sticking to your own schedule, which is deadly. And, again, yet another thing to keep you off track and to take your time. Now, let's keep going. There's another knock-on effect from not being able to say no when no is needed. And that is you can be easily distracted and interrupted from what you're doing. Yet another choice on our poll of things that cause you the most stress as a business owner and an entrepreneur, and that costs you the most time. So again, you are getting your work done. You have something in, let's talk about both things at the same time. You've got something in your schedule that you said you needed to get done today or tomorrow. And the day before, you put it in your schedule. No one else puts stuff in your schedule, no matter how much you'd like to believe that. You put it in your schedule to do this item, to get this task complete between the hours of 10 and 12. It may be, updating your website. It may be getting your order forms in order. It may be something to do with your policies and procedures. It may be something to do with, programming that you need to get in place. It may be something to do with your business that is really, really important that you get done between the hours of 10 and 12. And then what happens is you get a phone call, or you get a text message, or you get an email, right? And someone is asking you, it could be a client, it could be a distributor, it could be a friend, it could be your family, it could be your husband or wife that is asking you to do something for them that is not going to allow you to continue doing what you were doing, right? And if you answer the call, right, if you stop what you're doing and you go and do what they're doing, first of all, you've taken those 2 hours are now lost. The 2 hours that even though you say to yourself, it'll only take 5 minutes, it'll only take 10 minutes. You don't know that. When you say yes to doing something for someone else, that is not in, and it was not in your schedule, and you did not set time aside for that item, you have no idea how much time that's going to take you, no matter what you may think, or rather, it's more so what you may hope, right? Because deep down inside, I shouldn't be doing this. I should be sticking to my own schedule. I shouldn't be letting myself get distracted and interrupted all day long. But those 2 hours, gone. Okay. So again, you have now just robbed yourself of 2 hours. The other thing about not sticking to your schedule is you have this thing that you say to yourself all the time, right? Okay, well, I'm just going to take 2 minutes and that turns into 2 hours. I'm going to do this thing for this other person and I'm going to get right back to it, right? How often is that not the case? When you get distracted and you get interrupted, you get thrown off of your focus. You get thrown off of your clarity. Your focus and your clarity are what you need to get the items in your schedule done. So when you're constantly interrupted and distracted by other requests that you say yes to when you know you should be saying no to them, then you have taken yourself off track. And once you take yourself off track, it could take you anywhere between hours and days to get back the clarity and the focus that you had when you had put this item in your schedule and had first sat down to do it. So let me ask you, put these answers in the chat when you're watching this. How many times during a day do you find yourself getting off your own schedule? Like, if you have, for example, and you can answer this in a myriad of different ways. If you have 4 items in your schedule that you need to get done on any given day, what's the majority of items that you normally get done? Now, remember, these are for the people that answered the question that not saying no is the problem. And I'm going to get to without feeling bad about it in a second, because that's the third thing that this costs you. And that's a time killer and a stress inducer as well. Because, let me get back to that. So answer this question first. How many times during a day would you say you find yourself not saying no and getting off schedule? And remember, this is for the people that are watching this, because not saying no is costing you stress and costing you time. Okay. So that's one question. Another question you can ask yourself is, and you can answer it in the chat as well, which would be very, very helpful, because then I can interact with you after, way after this broadcast has ended, and we can do some work together. So how often would you say you find yourself distracted and interrupted by not saying no during a day or during a week? Just write that down or put it in the comments. Yeah. So and then what you want to do now is you want to add up all of that time, and you want to add it up per day, and you want to add it up per week. How many hours per day is this costing you? How many hours per week is this costing you? Now, what you want to do is listen very carefully to the next part, because the next part is the real deal about what you'll be able to do at that time and that energy that you get back. So remember, I said that there was the third thing that this cost you, and that is that whole part that's scrolling along the bottom here, feeling bad. Okay. So even if, you think that saying no is going to cause you to feel bad. What you don't understand, or what you haven't understood, is by saying yes to them, to whoever, your distributors, your clients, your family, you've just said no to you. And saying no to you really makes you feel bad. And that costs you stress that you're not even aware that you're under. Although you kind of are aware that you're under this amount of stress, because when I asked you the question, what causes you the most stress and costs you the most time, the majority of people said not saying no. So those are the costs. And we could continue and talk about how many other costs there are to this. But those are the 3 main costs. Since we're going to talk about the 3 steps, let's talk about the 3 main costs. And that is, you can't stick to your own schedule by not saying no. You are easily distracted and interrupted, which costs you even more time by not saying no. And you feel bad because you've said no to you, even though you think that you're going to feel worse saying no to someone else. Okay, so have you got all that? Good. So let's move on to what are these 3 steps, because guys, look, it doesn't have to be this way. All right. And I'm going to tell you about one of my clients who it was exactly like this and it no longer is. But we're going to come back around to that. So here's the thing. These are the 3 steps to saying no without feeling bad about it. First off, you've got to find your why. And I know you hear me talking about this all the time because this is what is underneath all of our time management and productivity nightmares. It's why we do the things we do, why we have the habits that we have. And once you find your why, you're really halfway there to solving the problem. So let's look at this one. So when I say why, what I mean by that is, what are you making your saying no mean? Does it mean that you're a meanie? Does it mean that you're selfish? Does it mean that you're going to hurt somebody's feelings? What is it what's that thought that comes right in your mind when you go, oh dear God, someone is asking me, my client is asking me to fix this problem right now. And I'm in the middle of what I'm doing. I don't have time for this. But if I say no, then ... Fill in that sentence for yourself. ... What's on the ... If I say no, then ... That is going to be so powerful for you. Just doing that exercise alone is step 1. You've got to figure out why you are not saying no and what you are making that mean. Second step is you're going to have to do a little bit of weighing pros and cons. Like, okay, if I say no to me right now, remember I said that earlier, this is step number 2. If I say no to me by saying yes to them, what's that going to cost me? Now, look, you've just done that work. You've just done that exercise. You now know without a shadow of a doubt how many hours you're costing. This is costing you, not saying no, it's costing you per day and per week. You have no more excuses, right? You can't say, well, I don't know, you can't even say anymore, well, it's only going to take 2 minutes. You can't say anymore that, I'm being selfish. You can only say, okay, why? What is it? What am I making this mean? Because, you don't even know what the other person is thinking. They're just reaching out to ask you if you could do something for them at that moment in time. You're the one that gives it all of this meaning. You're the one saying, oh my God, I've got to do this right now or people aren't going to like me. Oh my God, my clients are going to think X, Y, and Z of me if I don't deal with this right now. They're going to think I'm lazy. They're going to think I don't know what I'm doing. They're going to think that, they bought a product that is not working because for some reason they need my time right this minute and I'm saying no. Whatever it is, that's step number 2. You've got to figure out in that moment, how much time is this going to cost me today and this week? And the third thing is you've got to stop kidding yourself. Okay. You have got to stop kidding yourself that when you get interrupted and distracted, when you go off of your own schedule, when you say no to you instead of saying no to them, that it's only going to take a few minutes. Again, this is when you can go back. Look, but here's the thing, guys. You've got to do what I just said. You've got to sit down with yourself for 10 minutes and really take a look at what it is you say and what it is you think and what it is you do. If you're going to continue to do, oh, no, that's okay, I'll just do this and it'll only take a few minutes. Oh my God, I'm out of time and I'm all upset and everything, or they're going to be upset. Right. Okay. So if you could just take a few minutes right now and do the first part of the exercise that I told you about, find out why, what it is. What are you making you saying no to them mean? Count up the amount of time that this normally costs you when you go off your own schedule and when you get distracted and interrupted with something that you were already starting to do. And then you've got to look at why you're feeling bad. Okay. So the feeling bad part is because you're looking at weighing up, well, either they're going to feel bad or I'm going to feel bad, right? Now, if you really get down to answering all these questions, you might discover that they won't feel bad at all if you say no, right? But you wouldn't know that because you never say no. So you never understand, you never get that type of feedback, right? So let me tell you, so that's why you've got to, sit down for 10 minutes and just deal with yourself, deal with your why, deal with what you're making it mean, deal with the amount of hours that this is costing you per day and per week, and then deal with either you feeling bad or them feeling bad. Now, here's the thing. If a client is reaching out to you for you to help them and helping them in that moment is going to make you feel bad about you, are you actually helping that client really? Because you're just going to be left resentful and you're just going to have less time. You're just going to be more stressed, right? So, this was the exact situation for one of my clients, and who's a master realtor, makes, really, really good deals and does really, really great work. But oh, dear God, she couldn't say no to anybody. Whether it was other realtors asking her information, clients, sellers, buyers, lawyers, administrators, building superintendent. She said yes to everybody. And her experience of life and her experience of her business was spinning plates. She was always spinning plates. She felt like, she was on a tilt-a-wheel all the time, just with her arms out, just serving everybody, serving everybody, serving everybody. And you know what? When she sat down for 10 minutes with me and did this initial work, what she found out she was making it mean is that's just what moms do. She's a mom, she's married for many years. She has 2 kids. They're now, out of college. But when we first met, they were both, one was in college and one was in high school, right? And so she was still being mom in a big way. Yeah. So but what she didn't realize is that, she was not only being mom to her kids, she was being mom to her husband. She was being mom to her clients, mom to everybody, the lawyers, the people that were doing the board packages, the boards, the condo boards, the, buyers, the sellers, the banks, the, people that were doing the staging. She was saying yes to everybody. And the person that she was saying no to the most was herself. And that cost her 10 to 20 hours per week. And it left her absolutely frazzled and exhausted. So when we did this work, what she was able to do was to start saying, okay, if I'm going to be the master in my field, if I'm going to be as masterful with my clients as I am with myself, or if I'm going to be as masterful with myself as I am with my clients, as I am with the board members, as I am with the buyers and the sellers, then it's got to start with me. And what she started saying, and it sounds so easy and it sounds so simple, but boy, oh boy, did it take something to get here. She had to change that this is just what moms do to something that for her was even more powerful, which is, I can't do that right now. I'll have to get back to you, right? Just that simple turn of a phrase. Look, and I couldn't have told her that. Because come on, guys, how many people have told you, oh, well, just tell them you can't do it, or just say no, right? They don't understand all the inner workings and all the anxiety and all the angst and everything, and all the fact that you're feeling bad, and because you don't want them to feel bad, and they don't understand the tilt-a-wheel that you're on, and they don't understand the stress and the anxiety of saying no. So they'll just tell you, well, just, tell them you can't do it. No, that's never going to work. And you know that because if it had worked, you wouldn't be sitting here right now watching this feeling bad about saying no. So, she was able to find her particular phrase that was able to offset this. That's just what moms do. For you, it's going to be the exact same thing. Now, here's the thing. It didn't start with, it all started for her by us having a conversation to discover what it was she was feeling bad about. And this is what I want to invite you to do as well. There's a different message scrolling across the bottom of the screen. It says https://180 dtm.com/apply. That's my booking calendar. And if you want to find out, first of all, what is your why that has you continue to say yes when you mean no. If you want to discover what you can put in place, if you want to get back 10 to 20 hours per week, just like my client did, then I want you to click on there and have a conversation with me just like she did, so that we can get to the bottom of what is costing you 10 to 20 hours per week, what's making you feel bad about saying no. And so you can then start to say no to other requests and saying yes to you. Start getting back 10 to 20 hours per week for you to also use with yourself, on yourself, and on your business, actually, because that's the other thing. My client is now doing bigger and better deals because she's able to say, I can't deal with that right now. I'll have to get back to you on that. That's amazing. One little phrase gave her 10 to 20 hours back. Getting 10 to 20 hours back per week has given her the ability to take on much bigger deals and to do much more business. And so she's actually now working less, making more money, and having more time. Do you want that? If that's what you want, I'm here at the other end of that link that is scrolling across the screen. You can pause this, copy it, paste it, go into the calendar, find a time that works for you. We will have that conversation. We will figure it out. We will also figure out if we're a match for each other, and then you can be well on your way to having your time back and being able to say no without feeling bad about it. That was our time today, guys. Thank you so much for being with me. Click that link, get in here. Let's have that conversation just like I had with Carolyn, and let's get you on your way to being able to say no powerfully, possibly for the very first time in your life, and get your life and your time back. See you next week. Bye-bye.